Hard truths from a 53-year-old. You don't need to get drunk to be interesting, not to mention what it does for your health in the long run. There's no quick fix to health, no matter what that influencer with the perfect body is promising you. Being consistent with a routine is way more important than any new diet trend or fad out there. If you care about your hormone health in your 20s or 30s, you should be thinking about perimenopause right now. Lift heavy weights. I repeat, lift heavy weights. You're gonna look better naked and live longer. Prioritize fiber and protein, and please pay attention to the sugar that's in the stuff you're eating. Your mental health is way more important than what you look like, so please don't be afraid of therapy.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
You know, if there's one thing that modern women love to drone on and on about, it's about how every single person on the face of the Western planet is in need of some form of therapy. And that's a rather bold assumption based on virtually nothing. First off, not every single person needs therapy. Some of us are able to deal with our issues without feeling the need to pay someone who got a C+ at Psych 101 at Buford's Community College. Now, don't get me wrong, my head is screwed up more than a Polish apartment complex, but even I know therapy isn't some magical cure for whatever ails you. Therapy only works when you have the right specialist and you're willing to put in the work in order to get to the next level. It's a long and painful process that involves coming to terms with traumas and growing as a person. But work makes modern women sad, so they'll pay a therapist to listen to them complain and assume that that's some form of progress even though they're not doing anything. It's kind of like going to a marathon, taking a single step and assuming that you've won. But let's face it, with modern women, if they actually did that, that would be considered a massive improvement.
Oh, you know that? Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir!
Ever since I got pregnant, I've been thinking of the fact of like Adam and Eve and how they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden and both had a punishment. And Adam's punishment essentially was like he had to work hard, like provide for his woman, you know, like hard labor. And Eve's punishment was that she'd have to have bad childbirth and bad periods and like stuff like that. When did women have to start doing both? Like, think about it. Women still have to provide and like essentially in most cases like work to provide for their, you know, family, but they also have to go through bad childbirth and have bad periods. And I've just been thinking about that. I'm just like, that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Oh, poor you.
Alrighty, looks like we're getting biblical in this house. So you want to go Adam and Eve, huh? Alright, let's do it, sister. But you are in zero position to complain. I will be the first to tell you, I am no biblical scholar. But if I remember correctly, when it comes to the calamity at the Garden of Eden, it was Eve who ate the fruit first and then convinced Adam to eat it afterwards. Now, since you insist on being a representative for all women everywhere for all of history, I will play the game by the rules with which you set. It's only fair. So in other words, you're the one who got us into this mess in the first place, woman. All you had to do was not eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. That was it. But instead, you decided to listen to a talking snake and not the literal God that created you or the man whose rib you clearly have no respect for. And yet, for some reason, it is not your fault that you got banished from paradise, which just goes to show how little has changed for thousands of years. Even though you're the one who ate the fruit, you still don't feel the need to take any accountability for disobeying everybody. The more things change, the more they stay the same, am I right?
I don't want to work. I don't want to work at all. I want my man to provide for me. And I mean, in most cases, like men tend to work a little bit harder, you know, but like for the most part, women work too. So I'm confused on how that Bible verse pertains to us women now, because it's a little messed up.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Alright, woman, I'll spell it out for you. The reason why you're forced to work and pay taxes is because you, as the representative of all women, demanded the right to go to work. For generations, men were the providers. It was a role we proudly accepted. It was our job to provide for you and the family. It wasn't perfect, but for the most part, it worked. And you could still be having that if you didn't demand entry into the workplace. Now, we tried to warn you. We know the toll that work takes on a man, but you wouldn't listen. Now, the government had no problem letting you go to work. It was extra tax revenue they could launder through an endless series of proxy wars. And employers didn't mind because it meant extra meat for the grinder in the form of cheap labor. The schools didn't mind because that meant more indoctrination, and you didn't mind because the 9-to-5 rat race meant freedom. You literally asked for this because you, as a representative for all women, are incapable of being content with what you have. So now you're getting everything you ever could have wanted. And apparently, what you wanted is to consistently be thrown out of paradise into a worse and worse situation, which is something the most powerful people on the planet are more than happy to oblige.
You're welcome. Hey, you're welcome. Hey, don't mention it. Use that freedom in any way you like.
It's an honor to be with me. Like, and I'm not saying that to be like up myself.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
But I'm a good f***ing person, and I love fully and wholeheartedly. And if someone is stupid enough to let that go to waste, then that's on them. And girls and guys, if anyone makes you feel like you're too much, tell them to go find less, because you're not too much. You'll never be too much for the right person.
Well, that's exactly what self-respecting men are doing, sweetheart. You're offering too much in terms of worthlessness, so men are on a quest to find people and things that are less worthless. And this segues perfectly into my next segment because, gentlemen and gents, I am proud to say that the Lock the Bounty Hunter program has finally gotten his first ever sponsor. And it's a product I think I can stand behind. And now, any intergalactic space bounty hunter will tell you that calcium is the most important thing when you're traveling through the cosmos. And that's why I'm proud to be sponsored by Cody's Milk Corporation. Cody's the kind of guy who thought that milk should be made available to the masses, and he achieved that goal through hard work and acquisition of a questionable amount of milk based on mysterious circumstances. But you can't argue with the results. He's got all the milks: cow milk, goat milk, yak milk, evaporated milk, sweetened condensed milk, goat milk, rice milk, cat milk, bagged milk, canned milk, rat milk, hemp milk, hornet milk, water buffalo milk, and the local favorite, milk with ice. Now, I did do my due diligence, and I asked Cody how he was able to cut out the middleman and get all of this milk factory direct to the consumer at no extra cost, and he just said, "Lock, baby, just sell my stupid milk products and your knees won't get broken." So please, for the ultra-durable mercy of the intergalactic space god Egg Bujorn, all hail, patronize Cody's Milk Corporation, or else I'm going to be without knees. And I need my knees, gentlemen and gents. You know, I'm kind of starting to regret the sponsorship thing.
No, I actually think it's a really big problem that you aren't being forced to contend with the state of reproductive rights in this country every single fucking day. Like, I think it's really important that people come across vocal, strong support for reproductive rights in places where they're not expecting to find it, in places where they're not seeking it out. I'm not just going to post about my nails. My nails are great. My nail content is great. I am a master's prepared public health professional, maternal health professional. I am trained in health education and health communications and gender and health. I have an audience of 135,000 people on here. If you think I am not going to use some of my time on here to advocate for reproductive rights, for talking about why reproductive rights are important, about how much is at stake, how much we're losing, you're out of your mind.
Wow. That's amazing.
Oh, Agnes, you silly little chipmunk. I don't think you should be going there, sweetheart. You're acting like you're coming from a place of authority because you're apparently master's trained. But if there's one thing I know about modern women, it's that they never shut up about being oppressed, and they'll never pass up an opportunity to rub their minor scholastic achievements in the faces of men who really don't care. Now, you're master's trained, and I don't even know what that means. It doesn't mean that you have a master's degree, though. Otherwise, you would have said that. So my guess is you took some online courses and now you're acting like you're an expert on a subject that's virtually meaningless gibberish in the first place. But then again, I'm not master's trained like you. I don't know expertise on health and health-based products, but what I do know is that your following, in the grand scheme of things, is so pathetically small in comparison to dudes who eat unhealthy amounts of food in front of a camera. Your nails and generic liberal talking points are less impactful than mukbang. Now, I may be living in a glass house, but to be fair, I don't feel a moral obligation to do anything more than entertain the best damn subs on the face of the internet in this exclusive little club I got here. But that's because I don't have delusions of grandeur, Agnes. So what's your excuse?
Like, it is imperative that I do that because I'm really good at it. I think it's really important that I do that, but I think it's important that like everyone does it. Like everyone should be taught in whatever capacity that you can, even if it's just with your friends and family, like bringing up like, hey, did you see that the woman in Ohio was like charged with a felony after she had a miscarriage? Like, that's kind of insane. You don't have to, you know, be a rah-rah abortion, rah-rah this, fight with your uncle, whatever.
You don't know what words mean, do you?
Agnes, you're not oppressed. You wish you were oppressed, and there's a difference. Everything you talk about is grossly misinterpreted, taken out of context, or has been debunked. That's why you keep things vague. And that's because your brain is small, and you want your life to have more meaning than it actually does. And you know this, Agnes. That's why you seldom bring up specific points to back up your claims. And you don't want to have a discussion, and you don't want to hear opposing viewpoints. You just want the planet to admit that you're right. Well, guess what, Agnes? That ain't happening. You just want to complain for the sake of complaining. That's why you talk about this generic crap whenever you can to anybody who's forced to listen to your drivel. But nobody wants to hear it, Agnes. We're too busy living our lives and dealing with our own problems to listen to your complaints about not wanting a baby. Or are you complaining that other people don't want babies? Or do you just want to pretend that you're a smart? I honestly don't know, Agnes. How the hell am I supposed to know what you're talking about when you clearly don't either?
But like, I think we should all be talking about it. I think we should all be like making a bigger deal than we are about it. If you want to follow people that just are like, buy this, buy this, buy this on here, there's a million people that you can follow for that. It's not me. The block button is free. Our reproductive rights are being taken away to a degree that no one alive has ever experienced. So I'm going to talk about it in between my videos of telling you how to get your nails pretty.
Whoa. Agnes, your videos are about how to make your fingernails a festering cesspool of fecal bacteria, and you should probably stick to that. Here's the thing. As a woman living in the West, you have significantly more rights than your typical male, but you operate under a specific set of logic that only makes sense to those who sniff frog slime. You're under the assumption that if you have 99% of the public support, then you are 100% marginalized. So any piece of out-of-context legislation that makes things slightly harder for you is an all-out assault on your rights. But the second a father loses custody of his children to an unfit mother, you don't blink an eye because you'll just automatically assume that the father was worse than the mother. That's what this is about, Agnes. This is just about you wanting to openly bash men and pretend that you're a victim when you have more rights and freedoms than men in general. Now, I could go on about this subject for days, but your rebuttals would be littered with phrases like I feel and I'm master's trained, so there's really no point in bothering. But again, Agnes, your cookie-cutter talking points are rather moot anyway, especially when you take into account that there isn't a man on this earth who's even willing to breed with you, so your reproductive rights are ultimately pointless. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents, and as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much once again for checking out the new video, guys, and until next time, peace out, homies.